Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Mission Minded here on WSEU Radio 93.7 FM, your fire station. You are here with Aria Woods, as always. Mission Minded plays Mondays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 o'clock. So, Mission Minded is all about culture, all about the world, all about just chatting about things that are happening about. I just keep saying about. Wow. But anyways, today is January 27th, and it is pretty dreary outside here in Florida. Quite rainy, quite sad, actually. Umbrellas are out. Rain boots are out. I just saw Lauren walk by, and she's wearing her rain boots. Stay out of the rain. So, we're going to hit it off with some national news going on around the world, not just here in the U.S., but what's happening in different countries, different towns, different villages around the world. So let's go ahead and hit it off. Today, we're going to be talking about China along with the U.S. So China and the U.S. say a new UN resolution against North Korea is needed following Pyongyang's claim that it had successfully tested a hydrogen bomb earlier this month. So this has been on the news quite a bit, actually. So very important stuff. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, who is in Beijing for talks, called North Korea's nuclear ambitions a threat to the world and urged new sanctions. But his counterpart, Yang Yi, suggested China would not support any sanctions. So first of all, that kind of sounds weird. It's like, why wouldn't China, support something that could be a threat to the world? Well, that's because there's a catch. China is North Korea's main ally. So this is like your best friend is trying to destroy or trying to spend all your money. Use your credit card. And someone's like, I know this girl's trying to use my credit card and she's going to rack up my credit. And you're like, yeah, but that's my best friend, so I'm not sure if I want to burn this bridge or not. That's what's kind of happening in China and North Korea. So yeah, China is North Korea's main ally, but has condemned Pyongyang's nuclear test. So they're not okay with it. On January 6th, a 5.1 magnitude tremor was detected in North Korea, which said it had successfully conducted an underground hydrogen bomb test. However, nuclear experts question North Korea's claim, saying that the size of the blast was not large enough to have been a form of an H-bomb. Scary stuff, guys. Speaking on Wednesday after talks with Wang Yi, Mr. Kerry said that both sides agreed on the need for a strong resolution against North Korea and said that limiting the trade of goods and services across China's border with North Korea was one potential measure. However, Mr. Wang said that while China supported the need for a resolution, it should not provoke new tension in the situation, still less debatable, the Korean Peninsula. So it's kind of a tricky situation that's going on here, where China has kind of been backed up against a wall as to whether or not they should, completely cut off trade from North Korea or not when they're supposed to be allies. So that's kind of definitely tricky. I would not want to be in their situations trying to make all of these decisions. And so another interesting fact is China and North Korea are both communist countries. And communism is a theory or a system of social organized based on holding of all property in common, actual ownership being ascribed to the community as a whole or to the state. You could also say it's a system of social organization in which all economics and social activities is controlled by a totalitarian state dominated by a single person. So actually I have a fun story. Well, it's not that fun. I didn't experience it, but I have a friend who is actually working at Walt Disney World. She got a 2-year contract to work in Hong Kong. And so she uploads every now and then on Facebook, and she uploaded this video of, a bunch of loud music, and it looked so fun, and it was like, oh, this is a nice parade. She was like, I had no clue what was going on until somebody told me, this is the communist parade, they're just celebrating communism in China. So that's not something we, I guess, really see often, and a lot of times the term communism or communist is really scary for us, just because we're thinking about that, that very controlled government, whereas we're more of a democracy. Moving on to our next topic of world news, veteran African National Congress, or the ANC, activist Dennis Goldberg has called for leaders of the party to be replaced. So I kind of talked about this my last one. And this is going to be like based off of the corruption in these countries. And so this one is really interesting because they even rate, the country. So Transparency International, TI, says it has seen no improvement in powerhouses, Nigeria and South Africa. Its corruption index puts Somalia at the top of the list of the world's most corrupted countries. The annual index looks at factors such as prevalence of bribery and the perception that government officials go unpunished for corruption. The watchdog said the countries perceived to be the most corrupted tend to be in conflict. So they have weak institutions, weak police officers, and the weak court and lack of independent media. Somalia had not been effective central government since the long-serving ruler was overthrown in 1991. North Korea, which has been one of the world's most secretive societies, shared the spot of the most corrupt with Somalia. So that's kind of crazy. So I have a list here of the most claimed to be the most countries with where public sectors are corrupted or very secretive. And Somalia and North Korea share one. Afghanistan is next, then Sudan, South Sudan, Angola, Libya, Iraq, Venezuela, Guinea-Bissau, and Haiti. So then they don't want to leave it on a bad note. So now we know those are the most corrupted. And then we have the cleanest countries, such as Denmark, Finland, and Sweden, which tend to show the public how money is spent and have judges that don't differentiate between rich and poor. And the top for these, where the public sector corruption is perceived the lowest, is Denmark, Finland, Sweden, New Zealand, Netherlands, Norway, Switzerland, Singapore, Canada, and Luxembourg, United Kingdom. So you can almost see like a trend too. A lot of those places are in the Europe area. Singapore is more Asian area, but mainly a lot of European countries where their corruption rate is very low. And so my question after seeing all this was, where's the United States on this list? So we're not in the top 10, but we're not in the bottom 10. So hopefully we're somewhere in the middle and working toward getting better. That would be a lot more reassuring than being in the top 10. So moving right on to our last bit of news today, we have the Zika disease. So I kind of hit on the Zika disease last week, talking about how they were issuing, travel warnings for women who are pregnant. Well, now the Brazilian government says it will deploy 220,000 soldiers in its fight against mosquitoes spreading the Zika disease. The soldiers will go from home to home handing out pamphlets on how to avoid the spread of Zika, which has been linked to the thousands of babies being born with undeveloped brains. The announcement came after health ministers Marcelo Castro said Brazil was losing badly in its fight against the virus. No treatment or vaccine is available. And Mr. Castro said that troops would be sent out on February 13th to hand out these pamphlets and give advice on how to eradicate mosquito breeding grounds. So, again, this Zika disease is spread by mosquitoes, and I've got some facts on it as well. It's extremely rare in the United States, at least right now. We have fewer than 1,000 cases per year. It can't be cured, but treatment may help. It requires a medical diagnosis. Lab tests or imaging are often required. It spreads by animals or insects, and then some short term is resolved within days to weeks. In most cases, the illness is mild, with symptoms lasting less than a week. And again, this is a possible connection between pregnant women being their children being born with defects. And that's pretty much it. So Zika, again, they're really putting this travel warning out for pregnant women because it's affecting them a lot more. Whereas if a non-pregnant person were to get Zika, it would just need some treatment, some diagnostics, and hopefully it would only last within a short term, so days to weeks. So be aware of this Zika disease, my friends. If anybody is traveling to Brazil, this is your cue to just be safe and just know what's happening on around you in the world. Because it's not just America here, people. We share this beautiful green and blue earth with a bunch of people. Alrighty, so coming up next, we have Lay It Down with Sanctus Real. Stay here on WSEU 93.7 FM radio with Mission Minded with your host, Aria Woods, for some culture chat up next. Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Mission Minded here on WSU 93.7 FM, your fire station. I am Aria Woods. Again, this is Mission Minded. So we kind of chatted about some news happening around the world in the beginning part of the show. So if you're just tuning in, now it's time for some culture. I've got some culture info for you guys. And this one, I'm excited. This one's kind of fun. I decided to do it more based off of some bizarre or weird customs around the world. So it's not until you actually leave a country that you notice that some things that we do as Americans are considered very strange to other people and vice versa. One of the things I noticed while I was in Japan is especially on the train. I don't know if you've ever noticed too that Japanese people wear like the mask over their faces, and it's not because they're sick all the time. Sometimes it is because they're sick, but a lot of times they'll wear it to prevent themselves from being sick. So they're like, I don't want to get sick. I'm gonna just wear this mask, especially since they're out and about on the train, always around people. But while on the train, I would say, bless you if somebody sneezed. And I don't know, maybe it was just a language barrier, but they would kind of look at me like, are you talking to me? I'm like, yeah, I'm just saying bless you? No? Okay, never mind. So I don't know if that's a American custom, or it's probably, I think it's done in Europe as well. But I always got the strangest looks in Japan. Japanese people, be friendly to me. All right, so these are some really interesting. I have about like 10 to 11 customs around the world that may strike a foreigner as a little strange. So let's hit it off. In the Pacific Ocean, paradise of Fiji, where palm trees crown islands and ringed with white sand. Oh, sounds amazing, especially since right now it is so dreary and so murky here in Florida. Islanders and newcomers will come to Kava, and they'll drink Kava. So Kava is made by squeezing the juice from a local root, and the concoction tastes as muddy as it looks. That does not sound appetizing at all. Served in a bucket or wooden bowl, Kava is eagerly lapped up by locals as well as many visitors who get a taste of the strange, earthy cocktail. So it sounds like Kava kind of maybe tastes like dirt. That's what I'm getting from this. But it will numb your tongue, perhaps even your face, make your gums feel fuzzy, and probably send you off to sleep. It's also rude to refuse it. So if you ever find yourself in Fiji, the only advice I guess I could give is to plug your nose and hope for the best, because that just doesn't sound appetizing at all. So another strange custom around the world is jump the baby jumping. And this happens in Spain. Now, we're not talking about like mugging somebody, or obviously you wouldn't be wanting to mug a poor baby, but this one's actually kind of fun, I would say. Keeping the devil at bay is a common theme of many unusual customs around the planet. In a small community in northern Spain, where tomato tossing and bull running are also customary, residents take part in El Calacho, which literally translates as baby jumping. It's just simple and plain. You're jumping over babies. Yes, baby jumping. Infants are laid on a mattress on the ground while men dressed as devils run along the street and jump over the little babies on this mattress. And I wish you guys could see this picture, but this man is like in midair and there's like two babies on the ground and the mom is sitting next to the mattress looking terrified. So This is definitely a strange one. This tradition has been going around for 400 years. 400 years, people have been jumping over babies in Spain. How cool is that? Now, bringing it back to our homeland here in the USA, here's the weather in USA with a large rodent. So all of you guys definitely know what I'm talking about. Will winter keep its icy grasp on the land? Will the flowers bloom early? In the United States of America, a large rodent called a groundhog is said to have the answer, and he'll reveal it all on the second day of the second month. So that's actually coming up pretty soon. February 2nd, we will be having our lovely Groundhog's Day, and it happens in Puxatawny, Philadelphia, and it's the most famous of all groundhogs, and his name is Phil. How cute is that? And he makes his appearance in Pennsylvania. If it's cloudy when he pokes his head out from his burrow, folklore has it said that spring is already on its way. If the sun is shining and Phil runs from his shadow, winter is going to stick around. Thousands gather to watch the groundhogs emerge at various festivals. That's kind of fun. I've never, being in Florida, I knew about Groundhog's Day, but it'd kind of be fun to like witness and observe a little cute groundhog. Next up, we have monkeying around in Thailand, proving that customs do not need to be as old as the hills to be accepted. Thailand's Monkey Buffet Festival has grown over years and years since its inception in 1989, when a local hoteler came up with the idea to boost tourism. The temples of Lopburi, 2 hours by the road north of Bangkok, are festooned with mountains of fruit and vegetables. Now, this picture looks delicious, guys. Even cakes are on this like mountain of food, and local population of monkeys is allowed to feast. People dress like monkeys while monkey arts are decorating the street. So people dress up like monkeys, and they put these almost like, looks like an altar of food and cakes and just yummy fruit, passion fruits on there. Monkeying around in Thailand. Next up, we have teeth tossing and grease. It might seem odd in some cultures to pop a child's tooth under their pillow and wait for a fairy to swap it up and then in return get some quarters. Or nowadays, when I was young, we got a quarter. Nowadays, I know people who are getting like little kids getting $5, $10, $20 just for one tooth. It's crazy. But here in Greece, for example, you might be surprised to learn that the youngsters are encouraged to literally throw their recently liberated baby tooth onto the roof. What is it going to do on the roof? I don't know. Accompanying the toss is a wish for a strong adult tooth. See, I think Greece has it right. Instead of, plopping it under your pillow and wishing real hard for some coins, they actually are, using the tooth almost like a coin, like how you drop it in a wishing well, to wish for a strong adult tooth. That is hilarious. There are many wacky costumes around the world about milk teeth, though this particular practice has traveled much further than Greece. That's a cool kind of custom to do. I wouldn't mind, giving my kid his tooth and be like, chuck it. Maybe chuck it on the roof or something. How cool is that? Although after a while, you'd probably have to shovel them off the roof, because that would be quite a lot of teeth on the roof. Next up, which I'm super excited to share about this one because I've actually heard of it before. It's called Bubbling Brides in China. Forget seating arrangements and last minute wobbles or flowers and bridesmaids. Some Chinese brides cry for a month as part of their wedding preparation. A whole month of crying. Sounds crazy, but this is something they do. So once widespread, the custom of a bride weeping for 1 hour a day before getting married is still widely observed, especially in Tuji, who lived in the Wuling Mountains. The bride's mother and other members of the bridal party join her, and they collectively wail, and it blends with a traditional song. Now, get this. There is actually an artist who a lot of artists in China have turned this wailing, which used to be just crying, into a form of music. So I actually have something I want you guys to listen to. This is by a famous Tibetan singer. She actually sings in Japanese, but her name's Alan Dawa. And here is just a little taste of what this wailing has now turned into. So it's pretty interesting. How cool is that? They turned it into a song. And it all started with the bride's wailing, before their wedding. And they turned it into this beautiful, beautiful art form. Alrighty, we are on our last one for the day, Christmas with Crumpets. Now, I have not seen this movie, but it looked terrifying. And I had no idea that it was actually some old folklore tradition thing. So when it comes to heartwarming traditions, Christmas really is the most wonderful time of the year. Roasted chestnuts, stockings hanging above an open fire, trees dressed in baubles and lights. If that fills you with holiday joy, you might not want to meet Crumpets. This hideous beast is a part of the Alpine folklore, and he accompanies St. Nicholas on his travels around places such as Austria, Romania, and Czech Republic, punishing naughty children who don't deserve gifts. Now, this thing looks terrifying. And if you've seen the movie Crumpets, you probably have a gist of how hideous and ugly this creature is. The Night of Crumpets is the big moment, and the custom continues to gain in popularity with an ever-growing band of countries observing this devilish evening. Just don't expect his gruesome features to feature on the side of well-known soft drink brands' Christmas trucks anytime soon. So he's not going to be the face of Christmas. This thing is crazy. And in America, we have the custom of, getting coal if you're being bad, even though I don't know anyone who's ever gotten coal. But this thing is 10 times more terrifying, and I would hope that no one ever threatens their child with Crumpets coming along and giving them coal. So that is some of the bizarre, very, very, very bizarre things around the world. We're going to go ahead and go to a break real quick. In the meantime, also stay tuned because the special guest for our Destination Spotlight today is the one and only me. So I'll be telling you guys a little bit more about my trip to Japan and my experience. So stay right here on WSEU 93.7 FM, your fire station with Aria Woods.
Are you undecided about where to go to college? Then do what I did and check out Southeastern University. From the moment I stepped on campus, I knew it was the right place for me. The powerful worship services, caring faculty, and vibrant campus life were just some of the reasons I chose Southeastern.
If you've been looking for the right college, your search ends today. Southeastern University, located in Lakeland, Florida, offers students a life-changing experience. Pick the perfect career field for more than 50 undergraduate and 14 graduate degree programs. Experience close relationships with your professors and a campus community where there's always something to do, from student life events to mission opportunities to athletics.
What are you waiting for? Apply to Southeastern today.
For more information, visit scU.edu. That's scU.edu. Or call 800-500-8760. Southeastern University. Transforming minds, engaging culture.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Mission Minded, here with Aria Woods. Alrighty, so I'm super excited about this next segment because it's about me. You guys get to learn just a little bit more about me. I kind of always talk about Japan, so I kind of want to hit on, why Japan, where in Japan I went, and all of that fun stuff. So again, this is Mission Minded here with Aria Woods on WSU Radio 93.7 FM, your fire station. And it is 10:36, so we're reaching the midway / almost closing of the show. Mission Minded is all about culture, all about talking, all about what's going on in the world. So that being said, I decided to come up with this show because I kind of randomly got the need to go on missions trips. I've never really had the passion or the idea of becoming a missionary or anything like that until I came here to Southeastern University, and my freshman year got involved in a missions trip. Now, if you don't know me, I have never been on a plane before when I was a freshman, never been out of the country. Probably the farthest up north I've been is like Georgia, Alabama. That's pretty much it. Like, I just hadn't traveled at all. Even in Florida, I haven't traveled that much. So you can imagine my parents' surprise when I came back and told them, I signed up to go to Japan on a missions trip. And they're like, are you crazy? Are you, what? So yeah, and it was definitely an experience. So my freshman year, it just kind of Japan was always kind of like in the back of my head, not to actually visit or become a missionary there or anything, but just like, I thought it was a cool culture. I mean, I love the language and the writing systems. I'm learning how to speak and read it right now. And I've just always thought it was cool, the strokes, the ancient history of it all. So here at Southeastern University, we have this thing called exposure, and that's where team leaders and assistant team leaders, they kick off this huge event in the Sportsplex, and there's different booths with all these different trips that are going out. So, I actually wasn't able to make it to exposure, but my roommate at the time, she knew about my passion for Japan and how I thought it was cool. She actually bought me back the pamphlet. So shout out to my roommate. You're the best. But she brought back a pamphlet at the time and was like, hey, you should definitely check this out. So I went to the meeting, and from there, the rest is history. So this past summer, I actually went back to Japan, and I was the leader of the trip. Now, leading a trip is not what you think it is. I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. I knew that I was going to be leading a trip back to Japan, probably the end of my last trip. So I would be a sophomore at the time. And I called up the head mission guy, and I was like, this was during the summer, like nobody was even on campus like that, student-wise. I was like, hey, I'm going to leave this trip. I'm ready for my interview. And I was like so excited and like gung-ho. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, whoa, slow down, So I did have the interview process. Leading the trip was a lot harder than I thought it would be. There's so many finances that you have to take care of. People on your team, making sure they have their passport or their visa, making sure that we're working as a team to raise money as a fundraiser, and just going to team leader meetings and conferences to learn how to lead a team. And it wasn't until later that I realized, as the date got closer to going back to Japan, we were in the Hongodai, Ofuna, Kanagawa, Yokohama area. And I was going to be leading 4 people across the ocean, and their parents had trusted me to do this. And I'm thinking, wow, these parents are crazy. They're trusting a sophomore turning into a junior to lead kids across the country. Okay, they have so much faith in me, but it was by the glory of God, man, that I was able to embark on this experience and actually do this. So that's a little bit why I chose Japan. And raising money for the trip, we kind of just did everything we could think of. Of course, we asked for donations. GoFundMe is a really cool website that you guys can use. Also, letters, sending out letters, just that authentic letter that you can mail to somebody, and just like take time and show them that you really did care, to make it. So that's always a really cool way to do it. Of course, I had discouragements raising money and making sure that my team members were raising money. It's not easy. Money is a scary thing for a college student. That's like the first kind of pressure you feel is, am I going to be able to raise this? And amazing testimony. One of the girls on the trip was actually really, really worried as we got closer. And she's like, I just don't think I can raise this money. A couple of $100 short. I was just like wanting to be the positive and very effective leader. And I just kept praying with her and just saying, God's got you. If he wants you to go to Japan, he's already said that, he's put that out in open, but he wants you to also have faith in him and believe in him. So later down the road, sure enough, emails were coming in and people were donating left and right to her. And so that's always amazing. So when you get discouraged about raising money for a missions trip or just traveling, like try to stay, positive and just think of all the things that you can do and that God can provide. I mean, our God's amazing. So just throwing that out there. So raising the money was difficult. Probably the hardest part about going out of the country is the flight, I would say. The flight was pretty expensive. So if you can't afford to do a out-of-country flight, hey, let's go domestic. Let's go right here in our nation. You can always do mission trips here in America as well. Our school sent some people to LA, Chicago, Alaska. So those are also places that you can get connected with and get in tuned with to go on a mission trip. So I definitely encourage mission trips, and I'll get a little bit into that after I come back from the break, but they are just an amazing way to see, what's going on in the world. How are people my age living? What wisdom can I gain from people who don't live the same way I do or develop new customs? So I'm really excited to get into that part of the my story, because there's so many cool customs and cultures. It's just amazing. You just never know. You guys just got to do it. Gambate. Just jump out there and go places. It's a great, great feeling. So here on Mission Minded with Aria Woods on WSEU 93.7 FM, your fire station. Stay tuned. I'm coming back with some awesome, awesome, awesome info on my experience to Japan. Hope to see you guys in a little bit. Alrighty, welcome back to Mission Minded here on WSU Radio 93.7 FM, your fire station. Talking culture, talking the world, talking traveling. So, time to hear about the experience of Japan. The experience of Japan, probably, every country has its own differences. So Japan for me was just everything different, everything completely opposite of what America kind of is for me. We ministered, my team. Again, I was the team leader of a trip to Japan. We went more toward the Yokohama area, but we ministered through Bible study and teaching English. They're very eager and excited to teach English. English is an important language now, so everyone wants to learn it. So we would teach English, and I also partnered up with, we worked with a missionary who actually was from here, Jacksonville, Florida. So he lives over there with his family. Shout out to Nicholas Bean, whoop whoop. So he kind of helped us get our whole program, our mission trip running, and he does ministry through English lessons. So he does conversational English lessons, and then afterwards he provides, this free slot where they don't have to pay, and they continue learning English, but by reading the Bible. And so it's always fun to whip out the Bible and have them read and not decode, but translate what the Bible is saying, all while they're still learning English. So we did English lessons within his own personal classes. We also taught at a batting school. So for boys who played baseball, which was fun. Japanese kids, they're rowdy. They're just like American kids. But that was really fun. We also taught at Noah International School, where it's more, it's a smaller base school, but we were able to work with the middle school and high schoolers, teaching them conversational English. So it was really awesome because our mission trip was based on building relationships. And you never know how you can impact somebody's life just by being there, talking with them. And sometimes you don't even have to bring up God. They can just sense it on you. They sense the presence of God and the joy. And they're like, I see your joy. How can I get that? I want that as well. So that was a super awesome experience. He also, Nicholas, just emailed me and was talking about how two of the people that we actually did Bible study with, they got saved and baptized. And it's such a beautiful thing to see and hear that people are able to find the same joy in God that we have. If you don't know, in Japan, the religion, Christianity is extremely low, less than 2% Christians, and in Japan, the religions they have are Buddhism and Shinto. So there's lots of temples and shrines and these huge, in the temples, they have lots of sculptures and stuff of their gods. And we actually got to experience that, which was really, really interesting. I wouldn't say it was fun because some of the gods were really scary looking. So I'm glad that our God's loving and kind, and we praise him. But like, it's not because we're afraid that he's going to put dishonor on your whole family, dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow. Shout out to Milan. Great movie. Whoop, whoop, Milan. Anyway, so that's where we were working with. We were working with people with very low, like, religion, if they had religion at all. Some of them don't have religion, which is why the suicide rate was really, really high in Japan. There was a point where we were on the train going by, and you could see like kind of like a highway, but they had nets. They had connected nets so people couldn't jump off the highway. So people couldn't jump off the highway and commit suicide. So I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because there's a strange person looking through the window of the radio station right now. But yeah, so Japan definitely has been on my heart, and that's kind of what our team ministered. We did chirashi, which is like handing out flyers for the missionary for his school. And he keeps contacting us and say, yeah, somebody just called from the other day that got your chirashi last summer, and they're part of the school now. So it's always exciting to impact and then leave, but still hear that things are happening and things are moving. It may not be as fast as we want them, but they're happening and moving. So that was pretty much my experience in Japan. We did lots of work. Our days were packed from singing at Izumi, which was like a type of nursery, or not nursery home, but like a community where they could come and like do art. We experienced 3 earthquakes while there. I got sick with the flu and I was out for 3 days, and it was just crazy. So before I wrap up, one of my biggest culture shocks in Japan would probably, and it was a good culture shock. I have a good culture shock and a bad culture shock. The good culture shock was just how much hospitality they have, especially when you go into people's homes. I got a chance to do a homestay one year, and we went to one of the houses to do Bible study, and like they would provide snacks and coffee, and they were just so sweet. And of course you have to take your shoes off and leave them in the gangkong, which is like an area where you place your shoes because you don't walk on the floors with your shoes. Even if there's no tatami in the room, you just don't walk on the floors. So their hospitality is amazing. It was so awesome. One of the bad culture shocks I experienced would probably be like business-minded, how business-minded and disconnected they can sometimes be. So what I mean by that is when we do chirashi. So we'd be passing out the flyers. We'd be outside like busy stations and train stations, and people would be coming and going, and we would kind of separate ourselves and pass out the flyers, and people would just walk by me and not look at me or not say anything to me, and I'd be like, hi, would you like to learn more about learning English? And just zoom right past me. I was like, it kind of hurts your feelings. It makes you feel like, oh, an outsider. But there were some people who were very gracious. I had an old woman come up to me and be like, "Ganbatte, you can do it. Keep fighting." And I'm like, thank you. So they're very fast paced when it comes to business and very busy. So that was one of my, I wouldn't say bad culture shocks, but one of my shocks of like, whoa, I feel like in America, somebody would say, something. It's more often we talk to strangers all the time and strike up conversations. Whereas in Japan, that's not the norm. So that is pretty much my culture shocks. I love Japan. I love the food. I love the hospitality, the ancient history, the mountains. It's just mind-blowing how amazing it is. Like, I can't express it to you enough. Besides Japan, the only other place I'd probably want to go, I have a pretty long list. Like, I encourage you guys to get lists. Think of where you want to go now and start saving up for it. Start researching it, seeing if you can find language programs to go on, seeing if you can find a homestay just to experience something outside of our United States. I would love to visit South Korea, Europe, Italy, Greece, Thailand, China. Like, those are Asia's really on my heart, but I definitely want to visit like places like Brazil as well, and Venezuela and South Africa and even Canada. Why not, eh? So that is pretty much the wrap up for today's episode of Mission Minded. Again, you're here with WSEU Radio 93.7, your fire station with Aria Woods on Mission Minded. Make sure you guys check us out on Monday.
Mission Minded.